It is me. I have cut my hair a little bit. Also, I had an allergic reaction to lipstick that I just bought today earlier, and I took off all my makeup, and then I just kind of like sat and so what's going on? So just ignore this part. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about product core versus product refinement and a lot of the trends that I've been seeing within the different pieces of software I use, a lot of the different kind of pressures that are coming into the tech industry from outside sources and what really everything is about. And I just kind of want to get to like the core of a product issue pretty much, which is basically like how much of growth slash success is based on like the core function of a product, right? Like for a phone, it's to like call people, it's to like go on the internet versus like the small refinements that build it up. And so often when you'll talk to VCs or when you talk to people in the tech industry, they not only want to know like what your product is, but what your moat is. And the idea is like your moat is something about your product that is yours or about your business that's yours and it uniquely stands out or it gives you an unfair advantage and it basically just separates you from the rest of the competition. And so for a long time, the thought within product was, and it still is to a certain extent today, is you have this kind of core idea and then you build out these features and then you gain traction and you reiterate on the features and you grow the customer base and you just continue refining the product and growing the customer base. And something that's happening that's really interesting is a lot of these big tech companies are reaching like market penetration and the product is heavily optimized because there's like tens of thousands of employees whose job it is to look at the data and to look at how people interact with the product and see how they like it. A lot of people are using it. Like a great example of this is Facebook, is Apple, is all of these different companies where so many people use their products, so many people optimize stuff. And pretty much what happens is like, I've been noticing recently within a lot of different pieces of software that I use that there's been a lot of optimizations that I think have been terrible for the experience and that I think have been just not really good. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about those, a little bit about my opinions on them and how I've changed my mind on building features for products as time grows and also on, you know, the kind of funding situation in the Valley and what stuff looks like. And so what really started this idea was I've been thinking about Apple iPhones getting stale. I've been using my iPhone and I keep on bringing up this like stupid wallpaper thing. Like I'll just be holding my phone and then boom, like wallpaper switching will come up and it'll just be like a new tactic. And I got back on Instagram again because I have a friends only account that I'm trying to do. One of my goals in 2024 is to be a better friend, be more open with my life. And so I'm now using Instagram for the first time in honestly probably 3 or 4 years regularly, and I think it's terrible. And also, this is the most annoying, I've been using Pinterest, and so to anybody who uses Pinterest, you know that there's like all these different buttons, and then there's a pin, and then you choose it, and then it shows a board, and you save it to the board. And so something that Pinterest has been doing now is like, depending on where you tap on the screen, it moves all of the buttons around, so every time you tap, it's like, never mind, I'm not going to give that person free PR. It's like every time you tap, the order of the buttons changes. And I think that's the most annoying UX design I've ever experienced because it's like the pin button's there and then the pin button's there. Just so annoying. And also, and I'm going to actually like go to YouTube and show you this, my Google search results have been terrible. My YouTube results have been terrible. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's say I'm looking something up on my phone and I want to look for like lavender, Rilakkuma, like something. And then I click like search results in my browser is Google and then it shows me stuff. And then the further down I go, of course it's not going to do it to me right now, but the further down I go in Google search results, the more it's like, oh, you want to see actually more stuff about Rilakkuma? Like it just takes you to the end of the page. And then it's like, oh, you want to see a white Rilakkuma? You want to see these other Rilakkumas? And it's like, no, I actually don't. I don't want to see any of this stuff. It's just like one page, a bunch of these different images, like all of these different sponsored stuff. Like, I just don't enjoy using Google anymore, and I don't really enjoy using Pinterest anymore, and now I'm starting to get to the point where I don't even enjoy using YouTube anymore, and so this is like a search result that I'm showing you. It's like shorts, and then it's like the rice, and then it's like people also watched, and then it's like for you, and like sometimes it'll show me previously watched. Uh-oh, something fell. Which drives me up. Did anything break? I don't know. It drives me up the wall. I'm just like, I feel like we're actually going backwards in terms of product, and I think one of the really hard things about this is we're seeing these big tech companies reach these mass market penetrations. We're seeing them reach a lot of people. We're seeing them really having like grown to a very stable size, but it's just like not really enough for them. And the financial markets are tightening. VCs are like, we don't really want to give you free money anymore. Like there's all of these different things that are happening like within the financial markets. And it feels to me like tech companies are just throwing any shit that'll stick at the wall to see really what happens. Because they're so bloated that they can't really change their core product, or they can't really change their core product offering. And I think right now we're kind of like, we're seeing the life cycle of tech happen where we've pretty much seen it in all of these other industries where it's like, you're the new player, you know, you cannibalize everybody else, you think you're the shit, you scale to a size that makes everybody money, so everybody is happy, and then eventually you become so bureaucratic and so just like unable to move or unable to innovate that you start really focusing on just maintaining your position and not really focused on innovating or really going for it. And then you just die. Like, I think one of the really interesting things about the Vision Pro for me from Apple's side was like, it wasn't necessarily anything that like I wasn't expecting, if that makes sense. And I think we're watching an age where all of these giants that we've grown up with are starting to kind of ask the question, like, we've become these billion-dollar companies, we've like landed the moonshot, now like what happens or what's up? And I think one of the also really interesting issues is that even though a lot of these companies have like very deep pockets and very deep competitors, hardware is a really hard to get into business. It's really hard to fund. I don't really think any VCs are going to be funding like any hardware companies right now. One of my friends, or not a friend, one of my Twitter mutuals is actually shutting down his deep tech fund because he just doesn't really think that there's a future in new deep tech companies coming out, if I'm not mistaken, for like funds of a smaller size, and funds of a bigger size just aren't really like popping out the money right now. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of really interesting issues where like these companies just try to reiterate on these product refinements, which are things that are not really the core aspects of the product, but it's just like, it's a little side thing because they're trying to develop that moat. They're trying to innovate without actually like being threatened, and they're trying to show their VCs and they're trying to show financiers and also shareholders that like, yeah, we can still move. And so this is something that I call like product loss of vision, where it's pretty much like you have this original product and then you ship features and you ship features and you ship features, and then you just have a feature bloated product that ultimately like does so much that it doesn't really do anything at all. And I think we're reaching that saturation point on the internet where it's like the Google search results show me so much that I just don't take in anything and I just dip. And like same for YouTube. Like why is there like videos and then shorts and then videos and then like shorts and then videos and then shorts? Like I don't really, you know, that's just not how I jive. And I feel like a lot of people are really coming to terms with the fact that the internet is boring now. And I've seen that sentiment a lot on Twitter, which is just like, the internet used to be fun. Like, where are the fun places on the internet? And the answer is, they have no money, and so they died. And there's really like, there's no core business model in tech besides advertising, subscription, or data harvesting. And I think we're starting to see that become more and more of an issue. Something that I think is going to be really interesting, actually, is, like, other ways of monetization for these companies. So one of the apps that I've been using recently is called Superfan. It connects to your Spotify, and the first thing that you see when you open the app is like merch. Like, it's free. It's just basically an integration between Spotify and a generative AI, where it basically just shows you like, these are your stats for the week, and then it tells you your kind of vibe, and you can share it with your friends and so on. And so I think it's going to be interesting, because I know there's that, and then another company that I don't remember the name of, where they've sold merch actually to generate revenue. And so I'd be interested to see like all of these different offline revenue generating businesses that come up. But pretty much something that I've just been thinking about is like, you know, I used to think as a little baby, like, developer, product manager, like, CTO thing, that a good product is something that ships features regularly. It's something that's always innovating and constantly growing, and it's always constantly changing. And I think, especially in big tech companies, where your promotion and you moving up is so dependent on visible deliverables. Like, nobody is ever really patted on the back for, like, having a stable product or for keeping things, like, good. Like, you always want to see innovation, and the easiest way to do that is to ship features that really nobody uses. And I know Google has this as a giant problem, and I think we're starting to see the other tech companies having it as a problem, where people want promotion, they want to look like stuff is happening, and so they ship features without even thinking about if the users actually want them. Like, I've never been sitting and I've been like, you know, now that I'm thinking about a lavender Rilakkuma, I really wish I had a white Rilakkuma, or I wish I could change my wallpapers from the home screen of my phone. And I just think that that's something that's going to be really interesting to look out for, is like, not only how are we watching big companies do this product refinement, like, can they even build core products anymore, and all these different things, and then also, like, where is that new revenue generation gonna come from, and like, what is the next generation of businesses look like? And honestly, like, I think the reason why everybody's hopping on generative AI is not because it's like a super amazing experience, but it's because it's like a sign of innovation that doesn't actually require them to be good at product, because you're just integrating an API. That's a very hot take, but I also think it's true. Like, I know people use generative AI and they're pretty like, yeah, like, it's a thing. Like, none of the people who I know in real life are like super hyped for it. It's only the people who will make money off of it or will gain promotions / internet clout from strangers for liking it. So I think that's really interesting, and I think that's also why Microsoft is like hopping on Sam Altman's peen. I probably shouldn't have said that. Sorry, Sam Altman and Microsoft. And just like trying to ride that wave, because it's like product innovation without like heavy lifting, because you can just buy it from people for relatively cheaply, because all of the AI companies are VC subsidized, a la Uber and DoorDash of early 2010s right now, so it's just cheap as shit. So that being said, I'm interested to see product core versus product refinements. I think for me as a product leader, what I'm looking at now / like what I've been thinking about is less about the actual features and like the cohesiveness more of an ecosystem, and the cohesiveness more of just like, how does everything really work together, as opposed to like, how does one unit in the ecosystem have super insane depth and super insane like requests and things that are needed. And I think the sign of a good product manager is to know what to say yes to, but to also know what to say no to. And I think we're watching just like a really interesting product question play out, which is like, how much product refinement can happen before people just lose interest because the product core is the same and there's no real value generation there, versus like, can product refinement save people from being bored of the product core? And I think we'll be interested to see that. Like, I don't have answers. I don't know shit. I'm just here to talk about stuff that I see and to complain about the internet and to hop off and do those things. So that is pretty much my ramble. I'm gonna hopefully make more videos like this as I see stuff happening and as we see products being cored and products being refined. But I've just literally been like, every single piece of software that I've used recently, except for like mail, my mail client, which stays the same, I've been like, this is a useless feature, or like, I'll think like, this is a feature I'll use like maybe once. And then my overall idea of the product doesn't change, because I think there's only so much refinement that you can throw on something before people are just like, hippie, you know? Like, I'm just not impressed. So, we'll see. I love you guys. I hope you had a restful / relaxing / non homicidal holiday, and I don't know when I'll be back to upload a video, before I got into an accelerator in New York, and maybe one in Colorado, which I have to man, and all these other things. So I just have a lot happening right now, and I have a lot of things to think about as a leader, and things to think about as a person in terms of what I want out of my life, in terms of the kind of software that I want to build, and the kind of person I want to be. And so I'm just dealing with a lot of existential questions, like, is there ever such a thing as technological progress without harm? Like, what is the proper ratio of, like, harm versus, like, net good? And, like, all of these other ethical things that I'm just struggling with as I try to figure out, like, how to actually build good technology that helps people without, like, sucking, pretty much. So that is pretty much the video. I'm gonna be noodling. I'll see you guys maybe in 2 days, maybe in a month. We'll see. But I'll let you guys go. But think about it. Form your own opinions. Don't listen to me. I'm just a girl on the internet. But goodbye. I love you all. And if you're Facebook or Google, stop shipping new features right now.